Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to Tyler's World of Fun. Alright, so today's Saturday. It's a beautiful day today. It's a little cool, but it's the way the weather is going to go now. We're into November. So I got up kind of early this morning and hopped in the old Chevy here and drove down to the Junkyard south of here that I like. Well, it's kind of a love-hate relationship with that Junkyard because I love it because there's a lot of stuff that's not ever had parts taken off of it and old stuff, and I usually manage to find something I need or I want while I'm there. But the thing I hate about it is that just like today, whenever it rains, it's just nothing but mud. So, and of course I went off and forgot my rubber boots. I just kept telling myself to put those in the truck, and I didn't. So that's the way it went. So anyway, I drove the truck down there, did fine. This truck runs excellent. I'll show you what I got today and what I got planned for today, this afternoon. I was digging into this harness up front. Well, I guess I came back here before I needed to, but I'll just go ahead and tell you what it is here. This is the front lighting harness for the truck. This is off an 83. I think it's the exact same harness stuff. It's got your headlights and your turn signals and things like that in it. And it's all good. This one up here, let's go back real quick and look up here. I was working around with this light problem up here that the park lights and stuff wouldn't work and all that. So I started digging around down here, and it's kind of difficult to see what's what, but you have a front harness, and then down here you got a turn signal, which is down in here, and then you have the headlight wire and all that. And the first thing, this wire is the ground side of it, and it kind of chopped up. You got a broken wire there, and this is the other end of it, and it had been put together with a wire nut. So that was sketchy. And then when I got down to the turn signal housing and undid this thing, first thing I did was I started just trying to track the grounds on it, because what's happening is it's feeding back when you lose the ground on these, then it tries to go back through the wrong side of the circuit. And what it does is, you know, your turn signal indicators are not supposed to light up with just the park or the headlights on. So what was happening was it was using that side of the circuit as the ground path. So it was lighting the current flow through those bulbs the wrong way. It was lighting them up. So sounds kind of strange. That's what happens. And so I knew I had a problem with the ground. So this thing is fairly simple. It's got a ground point right here that's supposed to ground all this, and then there's also one over on the other side, kind of like that, which I believe is right here. I think it goes into this harness. That may not be the ground for it, but may be separate grounds for separate sides. But either way, something was up with it for sure, because I started taking bulbs out. I took the two side marker bulbs out, and when I did that, it got dimmer in there. And then when I took these two turn signal bulbs out, all that quit. So that told me that most likely this is up here. So I started tracking my grounds, and I had ground here, of course, and then I had ground at where it kind of went into the headlight headlight socket. Come on, right here. Kind of loops in and then goes back out. That's where that broken thing is, and that's the one that heads to the turn signal, or did. So I'd have ground here, but I wouldn't have it at the socket. In other words, this bulb was not grounded. So it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be, but it wasn't. So I took this thing out, and this thing came out, and there's this little contact on the end here. This is a ground spade, but it's not supposed to look like a spade. It's actually supposed to have like a little, I see the other side of it right there. It fell down in there. It's supposed to have that thing made onto it, and it's no longer made onto it. It's broken off. So I suspect that was the issue. So I'm going to just go ahead, since this stuff is sort of chopped up, I'm going to go ahead and just take that harness out and replace it. and I had the horn back in that's missing right there. I don't know if it actually ever had one, but I got one. And I'm going to take that goofy fan off, because that fan is probably doing more harm than good, because it's blocking off one side of the radiator. And take that goofy wiring out that goes into the truck somewhere in here. This train coming. And I've traced it around. It comes in through you see it up in there, little orange stuff there. And it goes over there somewhere under the dash and just goes up, and I don't know where it goes. So I had no idea. So I'm going to try to see if I can establish what to disconnect in there to get that out and take it out. And let this train go by, and I'll be right back. Alright then, so the train is on its way by here, so maybe you can hear me. So anyway, as I was saying, I get that household extension cord harness out of there and deal with that and put all that together. And the other thing I'm going to have to look into, while I'm just spending just a little bit of time on this truck, I'm not going to do much with it right now, because it's, it's running, it does what I need to do. So I got other things I got to deal with. But the other thing I discovered right when I was about to go out this morning, with it being cold and everything, is that the fan doesn't work on it over there. Nowhere, no how. If you turn the key on, these things always run on low speed when you turn on the key, and it's not doing that, and does not respond to the controls in here. So I had no defrost action until I got going down this road. And so it's got heat, and the selector changes. I can hear it hiss in there when I change the modes on it, but no fan. So seems to be a common theme with these. I've done a video on back there about what to do about this, so I guess I'll have to go watch my video and remember what happened. First thing we'll have to do is make sure the fan motor light should work. You just jump it with your jumper pack and see. It's got that relay right there that controls all the speeds on it. So that's your stepper relay right there. Actually, that's actually, I think that I'm forgetting what I'm even doing here, and I'm the one that made the video on it. I think that's the high-speed fan relay, and that's the resistor pack right there. It's in the case, so it cools it down. So any of that could go bad. Alright then, so what's up next? I want to show you back here. I harvested some other things out of the junkyard, which I was happy about. So if I'm happy, you're happy. So first thing, starter. And I'm going to look again at this, probably, and think to yourself, some of you like, that's yucky. That's here an icky, yucky looking old starter. I bet that's junk. It looks like junk. Well, it's not junk. It's not junk to me, because I found this. You're gonna believe this. I found this, and somebody had scrapped a swinger, about it had to be a 70 swinger. There's none left except the body. It's not even worth going there to try to get. Everything's been taken out of it. It's all gone. But the starter was in there, and evidently it's the original starter from it, because it has part light there. But anyway, I can decipher that part for you. It's 2875560, which started in 1970 through 72, and the date code on it is 1500. That means the 15th week of 1970. And so why I buy these things is because of that. I want one that are unrebuilt. They're all together, because when they get going through a rebuilder, then the rebuilder takes all these housings and throws them in a pile. They take all these housings and throws them in a pile, and all this shit gets scattered to the wind. So you end up with a starter that's whatever you get when you get a reman. It's a mutt. It's starters that are pieces of all other starters. So even though it may say up here it's a 2875560, that just means this housing is. Doesn't mean that this is. I've seen plenty of them that had a mismatch between this and this. And you may say, well, that'll work, won't it? Well, it does, but they don't sound good, and they don't spin as good. And these things sometimes they have leather washers called a brake washer, and it's supposed to be in there, and they don't put those back in it. So instead of a starter that actually winds down fairly quietly, you get one that got all this clashing and you know, they don't sound good. So, but just to back up my suspicion that this starter is totally original, has never been rebuilt, you have to go to the date code on the aluminum housing, the gear housing up here, which it should be the same year, and it should be relatively close to this. So I came down here and looked at it, and sure enough, you got a little pie chart right here. And that pie chart, if you notice there, it says 70, and it has the first, it's got a pie chart with 12 sections in it, and there's little dots in one or more of these pie sections that tell you what month it is. And so this one was in January of 70, so it's accepted that they can be several weeks apart, but they don't need to be like a couple, you know, like half a year apart or something like that. Or you don't need to have like a 70 housing here and a 72 here, or a 69 here and a 70, you know. They don't really work like that, so they need to match. So that being that close, I am convinced that this is all a legit starter. So this will make a good core to rebuild. And then I can do what that guy that I chastised on eBay, I actually wrote this guy an email and complained about what he was doing. He's been advertising these starters for $799 because they go allegedly on a Roadrunner or a Hemi or this, that, and the other. And I've told him the same thing I've told everybody else. There is no way, no how that you can ever tell what starter went on what car. You just match up the date codes and you match up the number. That's it. That's it. There's no other, you know. So I could just sell this one for $799, I guess, if I could find a sucker that'd fall for that. So guys, please, if you watch these videos, learn this. Please learn this. That if you're restoring something, it don't matter what engine it's got in, 383, 413, 400, 318, 340, 360, a Hemi, it doesn't matter what it is, except for like the 4-speed Hemis. When Mopar built your car, they took the same starter. If there were two consecutive, if they had a pile of starters here, this same number in 1970 or 71, they had them in a rack or however they got them together to put in the cars. They didn't have a bin that said these are Hemi starters, and they didn't have a bin that said these are 340 starters, and they didn't have a bin that said these are Roadrunner starters. They had none of that. They had 1971 starters there, and these things went on everything from one of those Valiants to satellite to a truck to a van. It doesn't matter if it had a slant 6 or a V8 in 1971 besides a 4-speed Hemi. That's the starter it took right here. It doesn't matter. That's it. It's over, period. Don't believe these people when they tell you this. Don't get one of these yahoos on one of these websites or one of these forums that says, yeah, I got that one, but I got, you know, that's a rare starter. I have to have $300 for that. You will not, because I went to Junkyard. I got all this shit for $30. So put a little effort into it. You can find one easily. They're just taking you for a total and complete ride if you believe that. So anyway, the other things I got another all original part here, and I know this will be one that fascinates everybody, but this is a 2-barrel BBD Carter carburetor, and that's for that car. That thing's running a Holley 2280, which I despise. I've had 2 of them on it. They don't work right. They don't work good. There's no fixing them. They're just terrible carburetors. They're calibrated too lean, and so we're going to go the Carter route now, and this is all original. I'm convinced this one has never been taken apart, because you look at the screws. When they've had the screws taken out and put back in, they tend to be slots get a little bit beat up, and these look fine. And this is all together, and this is the ID tag for it, which says 8175S with a date code of 151-8, which means that's 151st day of 1978 model year. This came on in 1978 anything with a 318 in it that used a carbon canister, charcoal canister. So it's all original, make a real good candidate to rebuild. It's even got the barcode sticker on it. Now this wasn't in a 78 Aspen or Valari or something like that. This was in a like about 85 pickup truck, but how it got there, I don't know. And then I also picked up another electric choke unit for that thing there, because the one that's on it I think is working sporadically, and the one in the car there has the wire, the sheathing, the rubber sheathing burned off of it for some reason. And these things even have a date on it. You see that says 246 of 8. This came off in 1989 Fifth Avenue. So that's the date code for the 89 model year. And lastly, that same Fifth Avenue was generous enough, with another date code, was generous enough to contribute its rear defrost switch, because that one in that car, someone managed to snap off that handle there. So I guess I hit it with a knee or something. But and the horn I previously mentioned. So anyway, guys, that's what's up today. That's what I'm working on. Saturdays tends to be my kind of low-key day, because I've been working all week and I just sort of recuperate and recover and just piddle with stuff on Saturday. And then Sunday I usually get into some heavy stuff. So I'll probably do that tomorrow, but that's going to be dependent on the weather, because it looks like it's trying to rain again. My brother was supposed to come up tomorrow, but he will probably not if it rains, and that's fine. That's perfectly understandable. And you notice something that's no longer here? Seen it? Not seen it? Figured it out. The convertible is gone. Gone. So the convertible's gone. The guy came from Mississippi yesterday to pick it up. He stood me up the first week, but he made it to the second. So he got it, and I got a little bit of money. So I'm all happy. And this is going to be the next one that goes away. Poor old Valiant. I got to get this thing, like I said, get it in, finish the harvesting, and then I'm going to put it out and let somebody come get it. So that's that. And just have to get used to the weather getting cooler. It was burning up hot during the summer, and now it's going to be cold out here, but it's just the way it goes. So I want to get this little bit of stuff knocked out of this truck real quick, because that's all I'm going to do to it. Probably put some, these battery cables look scary. I'm probably going to put some battery cables on it at some point, but fix that breather I told you about, change the oil in it, make sure it's got good antifreeze, fix that heater, and that's it. Appreciate you guys' nice comments on this. This just been something that's kind of fell in my lap. Like I said, I was looking for a truck, but I didn't have one of these in mind necessarily, because all the ones you ever find down here are pretty ratty. They don't rust really that much, but man, people just tear them all to pieces. Nothing's original on them. That deal like Howard was saying, that's got to go. I don't know what that's about, but somebody just routed and put the wrong belt back on it. Right guys, well, enough talking, and I'll see you. I may put another clip on this here just to show that I either failed or succeeded at fixing the lights. One last thing to tell you about these lights. Now, the turn signals and stuff did work on the front, but they were dim. They're like super dim. You could barely see them when they came on. So yeah, all right then, let's get that grill off. Okay then, just went digging for that end of the wiring to the fan out there, and this is it. It was just stuffed up under the dash there. I thought it was maybe connected to something, but it is not. There it is. Maybe you just stick that in the the lighter receptacle to make it work. Now let's deconstruct this just a little bit. Got the grill off here so we can go see the professional installation of this fan. And first thing appears to be that this is made in Japan, so it's a good fan, but it probably went to something else. I'm saying that, I mean by that, it was not packaged as just a, one of these universal fan things. But anyway, here's the other end of this piece of household extension cord, and it's looped around the horn, and then it comes down here, and it's just ward together down here. See, kind of up against the metal. That's good. Now, this comes through right here, Comes up here, comes around, goes right directly in the cab. Now, what do you not see on this? What you don't see is any form of relay or fuse or circuit breaker or anything like that. It's just directly into the power system. So if this highly skilled installation here ever shorted out, it'd burn who knows what up in there. So these things draw a lot of amperage when they start up. They have startup amperage and then they taper off. They have run amperage, but they usually draw a lot when they start up. So this crap here ain't gonna get it. If you can't wire a fan any better than this, do not put the thing on, because you're asking for a fire. This is totally rednecked wrong, the wrong way. Totally, 100%. This is probably the most unskilled, most amateur, unprofessional job of installing an electric fan that I've ever seen. And I've seen some bad stuff from Craigslist, and this is one of them. This is terrible. This is horrible. This is not something a mechanic does. This is something that some Yahoo does. And I'm not sparing anybody's feelings. I'm telling you exactly how it is. That's a recipe to burn the truck up. So it's coming out. All that's going in the garbage. You don't need an electric fan on these. I've never seen one of these trucks that needs an electric fan. I don't do electric fans, right? Because I don't like them. You got to see, this thing is obstructing half. When it's not running, then it's not even doing anything but just blocking some airflow, to my opinion. But and who knows if I even had the thing wired correctly. You know, probably wire it one way, it turns one way. Do it opposite, turns the opposite. So it would have to make sure it turned the right way. Who knows? I don't care. It's coming out. So there you go. You can get away from Craigslist, but you can never get away from Craigslist. Don't do a fan installation that way. That's horrible. That's something. That's something. If you handed a child all the stuff to put a fan in and told him where you wanted it, that's probably what he'd do. That's somebody that has no possible understanding of electricity other than, well, these wires got to be connected to them wires, and that's how it works. Whatever. It's terrible. It sucks. It's awful. It's totally wrong. Totally. All right, so here's the hardware that's holding that fan on. Look like just whatever could be found in the bottom of the toolbox is what was used. None of it matched. No surprise there. So now I gotta figure out what I can do with this military grade extreme duty fan installation. I think I know what I can use this for. Use that to hold the garbage can down. So I'm gonna dump out whatever's in this washer bottle. I'm not sure what it is. It smells a little bit like washer fluid, but why is it brown? Looks like a lot more like rusty water to me. You want some? Here it is. Have at it. I guess not. It's just out to harass me. Alright, well, kind of got more into this than I thought I'd have to, but it's alright. I'm having to just get this harness out of here. I was wondering what this thing was right here. This is evidently part of the hold the jack and stuff. So, all right, well, get these little plastic clamps undone, and we should be ready to start withdrawing this. This is one of these that's got a power steering pressure switch down there. I guess originally that was to idle up the carburetor if it felt like it was under too much of a strain. Emissions. Well, still working, trying to get these lights working. So I didn't have any success up front. I fixed the harness and everything, and I got, well, a partial success. I got where the side marker lights would come on, but if you put the turn signal bulbs in, they wouldn't work any longer, and it looks like there's no power to the front end, so that may or may not be a fuse issue. But I decided to come back here and start cutting out this mess, which this is a connector that was in the harness from the factory at the tail lights, the harness for the tail lights, and then you come down and look, and it plugged in right there, and then the other, the other end was right there. Of course, I've cut that out. I cut the this thing out too, because one of the wire was just terrible. And this light green wire, which I got to go in the house and see what this is for, but it was disconnected. It was just hanging in space. And on top of that, when I was under here, I saw up here by the harness that comes to the back, I saw a mystery wire. And you know, I love mystery wires because you don't know what they are, why they're called mystery wires. But I started tracing this mystery wire, and it came all the way up along the frame, and it went up over the gas tank in there. And then you gotta check this out. This is part that was above the gas tank, which is some sort of something, I guess, some ancient electrical tape. Looks like the end's just chopped right there. And then this was the one, the black one was the one going back to the back, and there's a nice bare spot in it right there. It definitely caused a short. And then there's another piece of wire which evidently served just to hang it up to the harness right there. It's not actually a wire. Gosh, who knows what this is. So this wire, red wire, which, let's call this red wire a mystery wire, which may or may not have power connected to it. Let's call it that. It's going up forward. It's, you know, it kind of fools you because it's sort of halfway tucked it into the harness right there and all that, but it's not really part of it. You know it's not. The factory didn't leave it like that, and they sure didn't like that mess of it. So anyway, about 15 foot of mystery wire. So let's get my stool so I can see in there, and let's peek in the engine compartment and see if we can see where this wire goes. I don't even need that. Oh, yeah, I think this is it here. Yep, I see it down there. There it is. I've got the battery disconnected, by the way. Well, how you like that overflow bottle? Well, that's nice. Don't buy another one, just fix it. All right, so that's this, which has a dirt bobber nest on it. Let's see if I can. All right, so we do have a fuse in it, and it goes right directly to B plus power right there. Sure enough. So I wonder if the fuse is any good. Let me sit you down for a second. View of the air cleaner. Come on. The fuse holder won't even come out. There it is. Alright. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know. It had a very rusty fuse in it. So, I don't know. Might not have power anymore. That's pretty rusty. But the fuse is not blown. So there again, at least they did fuse it. I'll give them that for it, even if it was a rusty fuse. But they did try to fuse it, so I don't know what that was. but that's not supposed to be there. That's not something that was sanctioned from the factory, I don't think. So maybe it is. Maybe your truck's had that. I don't expect it to be that, but anyway, I think we need to go further with this. It's getting kind of late in the day. I don't know how much light I'm going to have left, but time's going to change tonight, so I may have to throw this front end back on here pretty soon. But anyway, let me diagnose this a little bit more and see if I can get this thing to work. I don't see anything wrong with the wiring. Had all that out, but it may just be a fuse that's blown. Something may have, blown it and all that crap going on back there. Let me learn a little bit more about this and see what's up. All right, I'm making progress slowly. I dug around through this thing and kind of worked on the grounds on this front wiring harness, and I seem to be making progress, but I still got a dead lamp over here, and guess what it is? Finally saw it. You see down in that socket, see on the left, that black slot? Well, there's something missing there. If you look at this other spare harness I got, where'd I go? That's what's supposed to be in there, and it isn't. That's the ground tab. So that's probably what was going on with all this, because there was a couple parts broken off the right one, so I replaced that one. I was going to replace the whole harness, but I got looking in here and just couldn't do that because this one's got an electric washer pump, so I'd have to mess with all the wiring and stuff. So I didn't feel like doing that because it's all sealed. So anyway, well, let me look at this and see. I don't think that part comes out easily, but I'll take a look at it and see what I can do. I'll be back. All right, well, that's a no-go. So I'm just going to go ahead and just cut this socket out and replace this one with it. This little part doesn't come out. It's made in there, so I'm not going to risk screwing up a presumably working socket just to do that. I don't understand how they did that, but again, it's Craigslist, so what do you expect? So all right then, I'm gonna do that probably maybe tomorrow in the morning if it doesn't rain when I get up. And there's a woodpecker up there somewhere, and just go with that. I think I'm going to hold off on the grill because they had an assortment of different kinds of fasteners holding it on. I don't want to put it back like that, so I'll go back to, hopefully this week I can get a little time. I'll go back to the junkyard and grab some of the proper fasteners to hold all this back in. That just looks like crap. So, and then something else happened. Go figure. It rains, it pours. Put the other horn back on. There never was a horn on this side. That wire was in the harness, strapped down in the harness. So see, something's popped out right here. I don't know what happened there. I like these gloves, man. So I have to work with that a little bit. But anyway, I hooked them both up, and now that one doesn't work, and that one does. That one started out working, now it doesn't work, that one does. Go figure. What the heck happened here? So, those horns don't match. I didn't realize that when I got the one out of the junkyard. This one's a different kind of horn. I don't even know if they play the same, or if they match. But anyway, well, that's just what it is. It's no big deal. Heck, we can rebuild this thing out of a word catalog if we need to. So I was going to show you something lastly before I hang her up, but this truck has the ultra rare wooden headlight adjusting screws. You can see, you kind of can't see there, but you can probably see right here pretty good. You can't see there either, can you? Let me get a light. Yeah, you do the light, bud. But I think that was part of the redneck equipment option. Oh yeah, there you go. That's holding the headlight buckets up because the adjuster, like that thing, there's supposed to be another one of those down there, I guess, or up there. I think it's up there, and it's broken, I guess. Yeah, it is. I can see up in there. It's all screwed. It's not in there. Part of it's broken, I guess. So anyway, that was the same problem the white Plymouth had. I had to replace all of those. So I guess I can get this at the parts department, maybe. All right, you know what that means. I hear the southbounder coming, so I'm gonna get my tools up and get ready to call it a day, guys. It's been a long one. So thanks for watching, and we'll do more on this thing for show.